Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of building our shopping list app within my devlog series. If you caught last week's episode, we have laid the groundwork for this application by fleshing out the system design, and we quickly reviewed the UI that we're going to build today. As such, we will be using Flutter to create a clean functional interface where users can add products, manage their list, and navigate smoothly throughout the app. Now in this video, I'll go through the initial setup, be creating the core widgets, and start bringing the design to life. So let's dive in. This is what Flutter pulls up at the very beginning. If we create an app, you can see on the right here, pulled up a simulator, an iOS simulator, and it gives you this basic counter item with every Flutter app that you pull up. So that way we know, basic setup is working before we go and change things. But with that being said, let me push this to Git real quick. And I'll put the link to my GitHub repo down in the description below. So if you want to take a look at the finished application once it's done, it'll be there. And you can look through the history if you want as well and use this as a starter app. But with that being said, let me push this to Git real quick and get started on the implementation. Alright, so now that the app is pushed to Git, and like I said, you can get the link down in the comments, in the description below, just if you want to take a look. But what I'll first be focusing on is basically a simple list view to add items. So I'm probably going to mock this out a little bit, as well as this button down here, and hopefully get that set up rather quickly. And I think, in general, the behavior on what's going to happen with clicking this is going to be a little bit different, from what we can do, but there's going to be some shared components. So eventually we want to probably restructure this and repurpose those two components for the same list. But with that being said, let me get back into coding, and let's build out this app, and starting with our very simple, home screen here. Alright, so I think we somehow have the homepage built. Let me fix that title real quick, which should not reach Flutter demo homepage, but rather shopping list. So it comes right here. So shopping list. Alright, there we go. So this is the homepage, somewhat roughly built. I know it's not 100% there just yet. But if we take a look at this and kind of match it up a little bit, we can see we have this shopping list item at top. Obviously, this doesn't have our time and also our icons. Depending on what device you use, you have different items up there. Nothing that we can actually control. But roughly speaking, we have this shopping list item. Then we have our create new list button at the bottom. As well as like the items themselves. So if if we scroll down, you can see we have a bunch of items right now in here. There's a little light shadow that tosses on at the top. We can take that out easily if we wanted to, set this here to white, which is the surface tint color, which is exactly what's being controlled here. You can set it to, red, if we wanted something else, or even blue. So you get the idea that this is controllable. I kind of like that orange tint a little bit, just to show that, hey, there are actually items that you scrolled up. Is user preference really, so I kind of like I think I'll keep it there. But in general, we have these items which currently are just like repeated a bunch of time. So you can see that when we build it out here, is basically a container wrapped inside, or it's basically, this is a text item, but it's wrapped inside a line, expanded, column. So there's a bit to it to get this list item in here. Now there are two things missing, of course. One, this is not clickable or anything, so we cannot get into our lists at the moment. But on the other end, like this list view, because it's repeated, probably warrants to create its own container. That's probably what I'm going to do next. Because if we just have it here, we have it a bunch of times, repeat it over and over again. Same style, same formatting. The only thing that changes is the actual like name of the item in the list. So if we, if we look at list item 1, instead of saying list item 1, we say maybe this is a morning breakfast. So and then we come back in here, it kind of updates, but right now they're hard-coded values, of course, but it's not going to be very efficient, and it's probably not very smart either to just like have this over and over again. So I want to go ahead and split this item itself into its own components so that I can call it however many times we need it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next, kind of clean this up a little bit, and make this clickable so that we can get into our actual next screen. Alright, so I know I said last time I was going to make this clickable and like kind of expand it into its own container. So I got some of it working. So basically if we take a look at the list view itself, we can see we have the item and we're passing in more dynamically all the separate titles as well as what it's supposed to be doing on tab. That's the biggest piece that still needs to change so that we can actually bring up a new list onto our screen. But right now it's just printed out. Basically what I was working on and it took me a bit to figure out was basically to get this white space over here clickable. Beforehand I could click on like, let's say morning breakfast, and down here in my console it would print out morning breakfast. Or if I clicked on this little caret out here, it would also print out drinks. But if I clicked onto this white space, it wouldn't print anything. So now I've fixed it somewhat. Just if I click on white space, you can see, it prints out pizza days. And the issue that's really happening here is if we go into our like Flutter inspector out here, we can actually look at the widget tree and get a sense of how wide those values are. And if we dive down into, we can see that there's our home app, yada yada yada, list view, and that's really where the list item starts. The first one, we can see that expands 100% of the width of the screen. So that's our gesture detector, a container, column, row, expandable, as well as the align item. So those expand, so that's great. You can click those technically. But when it came down to text, that all of a sudden shrunk. So I was looking for a way to like expand basically that text box so that it would be like clickable. But I haven't really found a way to do it. But taking a quick search on Google, I came across something else, which is really this behavior, hit test behavior translucent. So basically, because it's not fully expanded, we can still hit that. And because the gesture detector is way outside of our column and the text and everything, it makes it so we can actually click it. Now, yes, we can still scroll here without hitting an item, which is great. But yeah, so this little piece here took me a bit to figure out. So I wanted to share it, but yeah, as next I'll probably bring up a screen real quick and then just print out morning breakfast. And I also have to implement this list item so that we can actually add these pieces. So I think those are going to be the next two pieces that I'll work on. Just to get a new screen here onto it. As well as adding a new entry to our shopping list. And then we're probably going to be good to rip some pieces out of here at least and reproduce it, make it more modular, and hopefully be able to reuse that button as well as these items within the list view to give us our actual shopping lists. So yeah, I'll meet you in a few minutes again. Alright, so I'm not sure where exactly we left off when my camera stopped working, but actually I pushed it a little bit further. So from what we can see out here, we still have this list here that we can scroll up and down. We can also create new lists right now. And some of these components have been modularized by now. For instance, we have this main homepage that is mostly responsible for the view. So for instance, we have this home view, which we should probably rename to, I don't know, shopping list view, because that's really what it is. It shows you those shopping lists. And then we also have what I call the shopping list, but that's a specific list. They're similar in nature, they look a little bit different. So what you see right here is the home view. And if we clicked into one of those, this is the shopping list. So, for weekend, I have a specific shopping list that I want to do. Right now, it has a hard-coded item of milk. We can check it off and uncheck it again. When we check it off, I would like to have this crossed out, maybe also grayed out, which should be a simple if condition, hopefully. We can also press on items to purchase. It looks a little bit different than the home list right now. But what it doesn't do is if we add water and we say, I don't know, 20 of them, it doesn't add it because I haven't implemented that functionality yet. But that is, I think, almost the last piece that has to go into this app right now, where we go ahead and we check off the item and cross it out. And then we can also go ahead and get the item added here. So I'll do that real quick. See if I can make this dynamic, and then probably we can wrap it up. Alright, so the app is almost complete, and I will stop right here with it. But if you want to take a look at the app, again, the code is down in the description box below. Take a look at the code if you want to continue on this, or if you want to build this out, use it as a starter template. But in general, let's go over the app real quick. So if we come in for the first time, we can see that our shopping list is loaded. We have a few items already pre-filled. This is because within the main file, I went ahead and defined our shopping list. Technically, this data could be outsourced and tossed into a database. Then you will pull that data from there. That would be a future improvement to do, but I want to get the point across here. So I didn't focus on creating that database, but I rather focused on creating the UI. In here, if we put this in a database, it comes back same way. But essentially what we're able to do is we are able to create a list, a new shopping list name, let's call it weekend, because we're going to go shopping on the weekend. And here you can see this first list is created empty, but we can add whatever we need for the weekend. So let's say we want to purchase water, for instance, which would be considered a drink. And maybe we need, I don't know, 10 gallons of water. So then this gets added. We see we can check it off as well. So if we go back and then come back in, it stays checked off. We can add even more items to this. So if we say, I don't know, milk, which I will not consider a drink, but rather I consider it dairy, and we say we need 1 gallon of milk, then again, we can put it here. If we go back, come back in, it will remain unchecked until we buy the item. So that's at a high level. We do have this design worked out a little bit. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. And like I said, if you really want to take a look at the code, it's linked down in the description box below. Until next time.